Hey everyone, I'm Ross Treeland, and welcome to another Spotlight interview. Today I'm here with my special guest, Lucas. Lucas, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi, thanks, Ross. My name is Lucas Gutman, and I have been with Sprague for 5 years. This month is my anniversary. I am the Cascade Region QA auditor, which which is a position I'm loving so far. I've been doing this for about a year and a few months. And I started with Sprague, like I said, 5 years ago as a route manager. And I started at the SeaTac airport. And from there, I moved to the Boeing factory in Everett, which was about 75 to 80% of my route at that time. And the rest of it was the surrounding areas of the factory, and I had a chance to get this job, which uh, I find very important because it's about maintaining the standards of service that we provide at the company, and that's that was always one of my favorite parts of working here were the standards that we have for ourselves. So this job is a great fit for me, and that's where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. So, three very different environments. Then the first one, what was it like to work at an airport every single day, doing pest control in a pretty complex environment?
Well, it's funny. I got hired by AJ when I flipped the switch on my job application to say that I was willing to work overnights. Before this job, I worked in broadcasting, mostly in Los Angeles for about 22, 23 years. And most of that time, I was working the overnight shift. And I knew that it's hard to get people to work overnights, and that if I allowed myself to do that again, which I was not, I was not looking forward to necessarily. I knew that different jobs would come up, and sure enough, I got a call from AJ uh, in this field that I had never been in, and he said I need an overnight person. So not only was I at the airport, I was there in the middle of the night and the only person there, only person from our company there,
Yeah.
and and it was great for me. I told AJ in the interview that I love airports, and that I didn't know much about pest control, but I knew that I liked airports and airplanes, and that actually went a long way towards my job satisfaction at SeaTac. You are around airplanes, and you do see the inner workings of the airport, from the luggage situation, which is almost like an underground city under the airport. Um, but that is really where the fascination was, and the interesting work was, is that we were seek most of our pests that have four legs uh, are under all of all of that situation, what's going on. So whatever modern airport exists is on top of older versions of the airport that used to exist, and that is really exciting. I mean, one of the first lessons I got in rodent control was a speech that Bobby Corrigan gave us at the airport, and he educated me on that structure, on that substructure
Yeah.
of the airport, and I just found it all fascinating. I mean, this is I like mysteries. I like lost and forgotten places. I like Indiana Jones type stuff, and
Yeah.
and the airport was filled with that. So
It's kind of like an archaeological dig at times, probably for you to open
absolutely.
this door and go through this area and hey, where's this old structure from, etc.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And you can find areas where there's a door that no one has a key to. You know, it's fascinating. So I had a great time at the airport.
That's awesome. Now, you said you left a career in broadcasting, and what were you doing in broadcasting before you came here?
I was what you call a master control operator.
Okay.
That means I was putting the shows on the air in real time. Uh, and basically, it's something that became largely automated. Um, I moved up here for personal reasons. I met my now wife, and she lived in Seattle, so I had an eye on moving anyway. But by then, the broadcast industry had changed, and there wasn't so much the person on the board pushing a button, you know, bringing the show up. But back in the day, I used to put the old Regis and Kathy Lee show on the air live for the
Wow.
entire country and things like that. It was very exciting for me. I love having a direct impact on people with the job that I do, and I like having what I do have a real effect on people, and that's actually something that broadcasting and pest control have in common, is that
Oh,
what you actually do in your day-to-day work uh, directly affects other people in immediately. So
now, when something goes wrong at Sprague or something went wrong as you were trying to put a show like the Regis and Kathy show on air, where did you feel more pressure?
um usually in broadcasting, because
Yeah.
the second you fail, it is apparent to everyone. There's no there's no delay. There's zero gap between your failure and everyone seeing your failure.
Oh
um
man, that's a lot of
pest
pressure.
control yeah, yeah, but pest control is a lot more forgiving in that way. You can make mistakes, but the good news is that the effects are pretty quick in pest control too. You can see if what you've done is working, and you can see if it's not working. Um, so I felt more immediate pressure in broadcasting, but the but but it's a different pressure in pest control, because uh, it's it's something that's really happening to someone in real life. And if someone has a rodent running around their workspace or their living space, they they can't rest until that's taken care of.
Yeah.
And sometimes if there's ants running around, it's the same way. Um, and so uh, whereas in broadcasting, it's an imaginary, crowd of people that are affected. In pest control, it's the person you're looking at who's affected, and so that is that works on me, at least emotionally, in a different way. I feel like there's a real urgency uh, with and a real human connection that I get with people who I'm helping with pest control, and broadcasting is more of a a thought of, oh
Yeah.
no, everyone, millions of people are now seeing a black screen or something like that. But in pest control, you can actually see the look of fear, or the look of relief, or whatever on someone's face when you're dealing with their problems. So it's different, but in the moment, I'd say that I had more pressure in broadcasting, but uh, I, I I feel pressure in pest control too, to do the right thing.
Well, and you're out there every day. You probably have met more customers than most people at Sprague in your role as a quality assurance auditor, and you get to see the pressure they feel all the time.
Yeah.
What where does, now that you go from doing the service to auditing the service, how has the satisfaction for the job changed?
Um, it's my satisfaction is increased because um, when we're doing the right thing, when we're doing our job uh, at the top level, I feel like we are giving uh, the customer uh, so much solace and so much peace of mind. And when and if we're not, the opposite happens. And we do have high standards here. I figured that out right away. And when we maintain those standards, uh, I feel like we're really doing something for human beings. We are actively improving someone's life, and I appreciate holding the line on that. I appreciate uh, having our customers feel like they're being taken care of in a field that a lot of people either don't know much about or don't want to know much about. So
Yes.
uh, yeah, and I love when I walk into a place and I can tell that our standards are being met. It actually fills me up. My job is to check that, and because we generally do a really good job at maintaining our standards, I'm usually feeling good about what I'm doing. And if we're not up to that standard, I feel really good about being able to help get us there, because I, I, I I usually have things that to say that we can do, that we can get to that standard, and I feel like it makes people's lives better, which is the point of the job.
Well, sometimes the best and the worst phone calls I ever received was a manager of an office was from a QA auditor. It sometimes they made my day and sometimes they ruined my day, but I was always looking at my phone like, should I? I mean, I should get that, but come on, be a good one, you know. So it
It's true because and from my perspective, it's the same thing. When I have to give those reports, I'm very anxious to tell everyone about when I see great work that we're doing, and I'm desperate to change when I see that we're not up to a standard. So
Mhm.
and so I feel urgency in both cases, to say to tell someone that we're doing the right thing, or to tell someone that we're not, and we need to
And we
jump
need to
in.
change it. Yeah. No, and I don't know. I think it's lost to lore who the first real auditor for Sprague was. Was it Lynn Brixius? Was it Grandpa? Was it my dad Larry? But the original, I left a business card in the bait station, has really evolved over the years, hasn't it? To what we are
Yeah,
now.
yeah. And I think, I mean, you can talk more on this, but I know that we're rare in the industry for doing QA, and yet it seems to me such an important part of what we do. I I I can't imagine I can't imagine not verifying the work that we do, and I'm very glad that we do it here, because that means that the service across the board is going to be, or is going to attempt to be, up to a standard that people can rely on. And yeah, I just find it to be very valuable.
The way that we think of it is, who do we want to find our mistakes? Ourselves and our auditors, or the customer, or maybe the customer's customer, or an auditor of the customer. That that's scarier to us. And we want to make sure that we hold high standards. And so we like to measure the offices against each other in regards to who's living up to the standard the highest, and where do we have the biggest improvements necessary. And the only way to really do that is to use a third party. And you guys are employees of Sprague, obviously, so you're not a third party, but you don't report up through the channels the same way that a manager would, who could obviously fix it. And so we get a lot more transparency in the data by doing it the way we do it. And I think it's one of the things that separate us from a lot of our peers in the commercial sector is how much we pay attention to how we're doing and inspect our own work. It's really important to us.
Yeah, and when I tell customers what I'm doing, a lot of times they're seeing me for the first time and they didn't even know that I existed or that my position existed. And when I tell them that I am looking at it with the eye of a third party auditor, obviously, like you said, I'm not, but that I'm looking at it with that kind of perspective, they're always really happy to hear that I do exist, and
Yeah.
someone checking, all of a sudden it clicks in them. That's a good idea. I'd like to know that too. So,
Well, you've worn a
so
few hats at Sprague. You've obviously changed your career from broadcasting to pest control. Who's been a mentor, or somebody who's helped you along the way in your 5 years here? Happy anniversary! I meant to tell you that right at the
oh,
top. Happy fifth anniversary. But who's been a
thank you.
mentor to you in your 5 years at Sprague?
Well, one of my favorite things about this company is the access that I have to everyone and everything. I've never been left without all the tools I need to succeed in the job that I'm doing. And that's a long way of saying that everywhere I turn, I've had a mentor. Um, when I started at the airport, Bobby Andrews was there. He was a tremendous mentor. He worked late, which meant I saw him when I came on. He would still be there. Nothing seemed to fill him more than passing on his knowledge to someone else. And so we would have long talks and we would have long walks into areas of the airport that he would show me. And he's like a rat whisperer, so he would know where things are hiding. And then, and if I had a question about something, I would text him in the middle of the night, hoping that it wouldn't wake him. But then I would either talk to him the next day or get a long answer explaining every level of the thing that I was talking about and what needed to be done. He was an early mentor. I also in that position I met Ashley, who is my boss now, and she was also a mentor early on. She is now even more so. But then when I went to Boeing in the Marysville office, Chris Olson was I don't think he was even the ops manager yet. I think he was just a training technician. But he took me and showed me the Boeing operation, which of course is overwhelming in its way. But I learned so much about what our standards are and how to maintain them and how to work within a system that was that large, and the communication that needed to be done and the tools that we needed to work with. And every time I need a mentor, they're there. Ed Belliston was a mentor early on. He's been around forever and wants to bring people up and bring people up to the high standards that he has, and he has high standards for himself. there's a guy
Hmm.
who probably doesn't need a lot of QA support, but
You,
because
you know
he
what's
lives
funny?
it.
You know what's funny about Ed, Lucas, is that Ed took over a route that I was doing back in 2004 when I
Uh-oh.
moved into sales. And every time he found something that I missed, a glue board in some sort of like, impossible place, he'd take a picture of it,
Yeah.
or he'd send me a message about it. And this is like like flip phone, camera phone, crappy
Right,
pictures. Do you
right,
know what I
right.
mean? That would be
Yeah.
emailed from a phone. That's how he would tease me about it.
That
So
tracks.
uh, and
That tracks
and
perfectly.
and of course, he always had my back. If I needed some help in Seattle and he had all this experience, he'd come and help. I mean, what a wonderful dude. I mean, you bring up so many wonderful people who work here. I mean, Bob Andrews obviously trained me, trained a lot of people who have come to work here. Dude's a legend. I mean,
Yeah.
so many great people. That's awesome.
Yeah.
If if you were going to give advice to somebody who was thinking about coming to Sprague, what would be some of the advice you'd give them?
Well, um, I don't know if I'd frame it all as advice, but I definitely give them heads up about certain things. I'd say that you are given um, you are given a lot of responsibility, and you were given a lot of rope to be who you are, to be the individual you are. But that rope is attached to uh, very strong and helpful anchors that will always. I don't mean in a bad way that sinks you, but
Oh,
but
it's okay.
but you're always tethered to these people that like who we were talking about, who are there for you. You can run your route uh as a complete individual. You're given responsibility, and you are given tools, and you are allowed to be who you want to be and run your route the way you want. And there are always the support mechanisms in place for you to do the best job. I would say uh, that my advice is you should gleefully take on the responsibilities you're given, because you will own your route. It is your place to shine. It is your home. You will make friends with your customers. You will bond with your mentors. Um, and you can be on the phone every day with someone from corporate if you want, or you can be left alone for a whole month if that's what you want as well. I actually thrive under circumstances where I'm not being tapped on the shoulder every second for this or that. And uh, and in my experience with the company, I get that. And but at the same time, the second I put my hand up about anything, someone's there to answer me. Someone's there to support me. So I would say be ready to be yourself if you work for Sprague. Um, there's standards, but after that, you're I think you're supposed to be um, I think you're supposed to be who you are. I don't think Sprague is meant to change people fundamentally. I think Sprague is by design to bring out the best in the people that they hire.
Thanks, Lucas. I think that's great advice for somebody who's looking to join us. It's more real talk. That's fantastic. Well, thanks for joining me today on the Spotlight, and congratulations again on 5 years.
Thanks. Appreciate it.